Hey everybody, it's Rachel from Inner Strength Pottery. Hope you're all well this Friday. Thank you for joining again. I've got a kiln load to show you, a bit different from usual. This is bisqueware, so there's no glaze, no colours to show you and all that sort of stuff. This is just plain bisqueware. You'll have seen previous videos, hopefully, of me making a vase and what I'm calling a forever vase or forever bouquet. And so it's a big vase, which you'll have seen me thrown on a previous video, the dome that goes over the top to hold all the stems in place. And then there was a second video of me hand building the flowers to go into the vase. So the vase is, excuse me, I'll be back. The vase is here with its dome on. So this dome was made separately, and I put some flat holes in it so that it holds the stems in a nice place, and that fits perfectly onto the top of the vase. Okay, and then further down there is some flowers that will go into each of those holes, hopefully. Okay, so in this kiln load, I've got quite a lot of other domes as well, because I made some more smaller versions of those pots. So I made some, this one I think is £1.50. This one I think is £2.50. So they're slightly smaller than the big one I've just shown you. Just so that, and I've made domes to fit these so that I can pop these onto my craft stand and people can put real flowers in them instead of ceramic flowers. Okay, so these are the domes, various sizes that will fit into there. Lovely. Okay, so there's quite a lot of domes here, all different sizes to match each of the pots. And they haven't warped as well. When you put holes in things, especially that many holes, it's very common that you'll end up with an oval sort of dome, because they warp when they're drying and heating up in the kiln. So these looks like they've all stayed lovely and round on me, which is a good result. So those are all my domes for my various size pots. Okay, next shelf. So the shelves are quite hot. I'm going to have to, no, don't quite need my gloves, I don't think. Okay, yes. So you see these shelves as well. They're quite special shelves. Okay, they're made of silicon carbide. Okay, traditional kiln shelves are made out of porcelain, which porcelain is a clay that will withstand quite hot temperatures. So that's great, because obviously they will cope with the hot temperatures in the kiln, because my clay goes to about 1280 degrees, which is stoneware. Porcelain you fire to sort of 2000 degrees. So if the kiln shelves are made of porcelain, they will withstand at least the 1280 that I use them for. However, porcelain shelves have got their drawbacks. So I think I've got one here. So yes, I've got one here. Oh, very carefully. So this is a porcelain shelf, and you can see it's quite thick. It's heavy. You know, there's a good weight to it. It's also got this powdered coating on the front, which is called backwash, and you have to put backwash on so that your pieces don't stick to the shelf. That's great, but sometimes it doesn't work. And actually, this shelf, you can see on the shelf, I've had to grind away some glaze because it's stuck to the kiln shelf. Okay, with silicon carbide, it's light. It's thin, so it doesn't take up too much room in your kiln. Okay, and the kiln, you don't need any kiln wash on it. And if you get a little piece that sticks, then you grab what is called a glaze eraser, and you can just scrape your glaze away from the kiln shelf and really clean up your kiln shelf. Okay, so these are very, very expensive though. This shelf alone, £280. Okay, and I've got 5 shelves. So there's over £1,000 worth of shelves just inside the kiln, let alone buying the kiln itself. So, but it is an investment, and they have paid for themselves over and over again, because peace of mind is a big thing. You just stick your kiln on, chuck all your pieces in, and you don't have to worry, because you're not going to have to then, you know, chip away at your kiln shelves if it's got a runny glaze that's gone too far. But yeah, they just pay for themselves, because you know they don't break your pots. You don't have to keep buying new shelves when you've had to grind your glaze off and stuff. So you know, I think it's very, very much money well spent. So further down, oh my god, some flowers. So I've got a couple more domes. Beautiful. That should be all of the domes now, which I'll find the right pot for the right dome. Okay, so some flowers. So I've got a piece of pussy willow. So you'll have seen me make these in video number 2. just a stick really with some balls stuck to it. But it's when that's glazed, it will look like pussy willow because the stem will be brown and the little balls will be white. Okay. So I've also got a rose, nice little hand-built rose with a stem inside and a little leaf going up the side. These have come out lovely, actually. Beautiful. Very intricate. I don't do a lot of intricate work. I need to put these down really carefully, so bear with me, guys. Actually, I'm going to get a board that I can lay down. Where is my boards? Okay, that one will do. I'll put a board there so I can lay them down safely because they are still quite fragile. This one is, I'm calling this sort of a peony type, you know, something a bit more fluty. So that's lovely. Got a nice long stem on there. Okay. I've got another one of those that has got only, I'm calling that sort of a big old daisy type thing. I don't know. So this is about 4.5, 5 inches. So it's quite a substantial piece for the bouquet. And then, oh, I've got one that hasn't survived. It's got a little bit of its leaf missing. Okay, so that one's not quite survived. I will probably still use it, and then I'll tuck it behind something else that you can't see or something, but I might decide just to bin that one. It's fine. It's part of the pottery process is binning stuff that, you know, if it's not good enough, then it doesn't make it. So that's those ones on that shelf. As usual, I'm struggling for space in the kiln room, especially with all this big stuff coming out. Another shelf coming out now. Okay. Right, so I've got some smaller pieces, some smaller stems. So there's another piece of little pussy willow. Beautiful. There's a few of these because they're sort of fillers in the bouquet. And there's a sort of medium size, a bit longer. And then there's another one which is the long length again. Okay, so that's the pussy willow stems. Then I've got some buds. So I've got a couple of these, so little buds, sort of like a little rose that's due to come out. Springtime, that one will be. Wonderful. And there's two of these, the little bendy over top. Okay, and there is some sort of other, I don't know, some greenery. So a little couple of twirls, you know, they're just fillers for the space between the big stuff. I think there's another one of those further down. There's a shorter stemmed daisy type thing. They've all come out really nice, actually, and it's nice now that they've been bisquied. I can handle them properly because they're very fragile when they're first made until they're fired, and then you can actually hold them without the risk of cracking. And then I've got another one of those peony type flowers. These are going to look gorgeous when they're glazed. And you see how it's made. I've made all the individual flowers and stuck it on. The stamen in the middle is a mould. And then on the back, I've just got a circle of clay and really fixed it nice and solidly to the stem. So it's such a simple design. You just need to make sure that that's a solid fix, because when it shrinks in the kiln, as it dries and gets fired, it can come apart. So that these are solidly attached. So that's really, really good news. Okay, so I've also got an allium. So this here is made with a, you know, one of those machines that the children use. What's it called? Play-Doh. A Play-Doh machine. So you get a lump of clay, stick it in your Play-Doh machine, force it out the other end, and whatever template you've got on the front of your Play-Doh machine squishes the clay through. You can make animals and squares and stars and hearts and all that sort of stuff, but there's one that does little tiny little strings. So all I've done is done a stem with a ball of clay, got all my Play-Doh and made the strings, and then wrapped it round and just caressed it so that it's a ball. So I've got an allium. There's a couple of these as well. Okay, next shelf down. I think this is the last shelf. I can see some petals. Okay. Oh, excuse me, putting things on the floor. Right, last shelf. Lovely. So I've got a few more alliums in here, but what I've used instead of the normal buff clay, I've used black clay. So this will go jet black in the kiln. So I probably won't even bother to glaze that. It will go black rather than this grey blue colour. And there's a couple of really short ones because I think that they broke, but I decided to use them anyway. The stems were probably longer than that, and yeah, you can see that that one broke anyway. I thought, no, I'm not going to throw it away. If it fits in the vase, then you know it has a reason to be there. And then there's a third one that's got a longer stem, so that one survived. Okay, because you need some short stuff as well as long stuff, so you know it will find its place in the bouquet eventually when I put it together. Okay, so I have a very, very short peony type flower. So this one did break. Okay, but I've decided to keep it just in case I can fit it in somewhere. I don't know. It might not make it because it's got no stem. What you can't do is attach a stem and try and refire it, and you know it's not going to work. So you know it'll either survive or it won't. And then there's a couple more of the sort of, I don't know what to call these, little swizzly ends. These will just be green, like reeds or, you know, grasses, that sort of stuff, various lengths. I shall pop those into the gaps. And there's another one here that is in one piece. So that one is, you know, stayed together nicely. And then 3 or 4 more pieces. So another one that ended up with a shorter stem, nice and big. This is sort of 6 inches, 6-7 inches, lovely. I'm running out of space to put these on now. And another allium with a nice long stem. Ooh, it's quite nice. When that's glazed, that's going to be really effective. And then there's a daffodil. Oh my word, I forgot I did a daffodil. So we have a daffodil. It's got a little trumpet in the middle. Lovely. So that one obviously is going to be a bit yellow or orange. Beautiful. There's another little petaled number. That one's a smaller one. You can see the difference. And then last one. Actually, they've all pretty much survived. So there's another daffodil there with its trumpet coming out the middle. A couple of daffodils. All right, so I'll probably end up still having to make a few more pieces. So I'm thinking leaves, greenery, that sort of stuff, just the filler materials to go in. But yeah, so excuse me, I'll be back. This big vase with its holes in will be glazed. And then each of these will be glazed separately, but then it will be built. So those will go in there, be nicely arranged, and then it will all be glazed as one piece when it's all built up together. So it's going to look lovely. So I'll do another video when I'm building it and putting it all together, and then we'll have the big reveal when it comes out of the kiln all finished. So that's it, guys, for now. Thank you. That was a pretty good result. Thanks for joining, and yeah, look forward to seeing you when this is all nice and finished. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.